Well, good morning, folks, and welcome back to the farm. As you can probably hear, we're in the chicken house this morning cleaning the sheets. Yes, everybody gets a fresh set of sheets here on the weekend, so put some fresh pine shavings in there. Prior to that, I just sprinkled a little bit of diatomaceous earth in the base, and diatomaceous earth is something that we typically don't use a whole bunch of, but we just on a infrequent basis sprinkle a little bit in the nesting boxes, because we do have the odd chicken that likes to sleep in there, and oftentimes when they're congregating, spending a lot of time loitering, perhaps maybe even a better word, in the nesting boxes or on the floor of the chicken house, you can end up with mites, and it just becomes something to manage. And so a little bit of diatomaceous earth sprinkled there works well. We don't put it in their feed. We don't use it as a dewormer or parasite control internally, because it only works while it's dry. It's a drying agent. Once it becomes wet, it's really very ineffective. The other thing we did the other day on the base of the chicken house floor, when we mowed the lawn, we sprinkled some lawn clippings in here, provided a tasty little treat for the chickens, as well as it adds some fast acting organic material that breaks down on the floor as a good starter base for our deep litter bedding that we're getting started for winter. Yes, this is a process that starts early on in the summer. So we cleaned it out, I think it was like May or something like that. And that's really our only clean out for the year. Now we're just adding some of those fast acting breakdown materials. Little grass clippings just like this work really well. The long stuff that you weed whack doesn't work very well, because if the chickens eat it and it's long and stringy, they can get hung up in their crop, obviously impact that. That's not a good deal, right? But short little pieces like this work really well, because if they snack on them, that's a tasty little treat, right? But it also allows for this stuff to break, because it's just wood chips, right? That's all we have in here. Wood chips, chicken manure. As you can imagine, the wood chips don't break down very fast. So it's something that quite often you have to add a little bit of moisture to kind of get things kicked off. And moisture is something that you really don't want a whole bunch of in your chicken house. So you got to really keep a close eye on it. But a little bit of grass clippings, again, not too much, just a little bit, works really well. Charlotte behind me, as you can tell, is helping restock some of the nesting box with her pine shavings. So I've got about 2/3 to 3/4 of a bag left. And I'm just going to dump it in a giant pile in the middle of the floor. Don't spread it around. Chickens love to do that. They love to till and scratch and dig. And so why would I want to take that away from them? I'll just leave it in a giant pile. We'll come back tomorrow. The whole floor will be blanketed, and it's going to look awesome. So the other thing we're working on today is pulling down all of this netting and getting it moved. The other day, we actually moved the rams out of this little paddock here, a temporary paddock, and we moved them in behind the shop. Now there's still limited grass there. It has recovered, but we've had heat wave after heat wave after heat wave. We've had no rain, literally no rain. Actually, I got 2 raindrops this morning, and that was the sum total of our rain. And so we're having to actually water the grass in order to maintain feed for the animals during the summertime here. So we're gonna move these onto some stuff that's adjacent to the little paddock in behind the shop. So the challenge we face when we're doing this is actually, when we put this in, we did actually have a rainy day. And so it's since baked into the ground. I actually got to pry the posts out, so it's gonna be a bit of hard work. So as you can probably hear, it's extremely windy here today. We actually have a straight shot line of sight directly to the Rocky Mountains, and there's not much more than about 3 or 4 trees in between the farm and the mountains. So the air just rushes down there straight out of the southwest and just blasts us right in the face. So that's a gem for sure. Now, as you can probably tell, I'm a little bit stiff right now. I got the nets all pulled down. I got one of them moved over, and then I tweaked my neck so I can move it this way with a lot of pain, and I can't move it that way at all. But I still got to move over the other net and then get it set up so that those rams that are in behind the shop have some additional grazing space. So the rams are all moved out into their new temporary pasture. All that netting is set up and charged up, and they're having a fantastic time over there. Not so much. They're hiding in the shelter. It's way too windy today to do anything fun. They say make hay while the sun shines. Well, we might as well go cut wood while the wind blows, because it's too windy for a campfire anyways. Well, we got one load of firewood hauled up, and that's good. When this wind buggers off, we'll be able to cook some hot dogs or some marshmallows or something like that on the campfire. It'll be a lovely time, and we'll be well prepared for it. We got back from there. I also did a little bit of work on the old Massey tractor. We've had this thing since, I can't remember if it was, I think it was 2017. That was the year we moved out here. I can't remember if we bought it that year or if we bought the tractor the spring afterwards. Anyways, doesn't matter. Since the day we bought this thing, I've been meaning to install a fuel shutoff valve, because the carb does leak a little bit, and as soon as you park it, pretty much all your gas will just, because I only use it every couple weeks, right? So all your gas leaks out onto the ground, and the whole yard stinks like gas. Nothing ever grows where it parks, and I mean, that's not good on the old pocketbook either, right? So I've had this habit now of just putting just enough gas to get it started, do what I need to do, and then park it again. But that's really not fixing the problem. That's not even a good Band-Aid, to be honest. Now, logic says I should probably just order parts for the car, but I have no idea what year this thing is. I could probably take the serial number into Massey Ferguson and pay a couple $100. Anyways, $7 shutoff valve and problem solved. Because the carb doesn't leak when it's running, right? Because there's just enough flow or vacuum or whatever, however that works inside a carburetor. It doesn't leak when it's running. It only leaks when it's parked. So, quick fix, took me 10 minutes. I can actually fill the gas tank up with gas now. Now, why am I so worried about fixing the tractor on a windy day when I could probably be doing something else, maybe sitting inside the house drinking hot chocolate, iced tea, whatever? No, it's because of this. So we picked up a bag of chicken feed from Bloom Enterprises a few days back, maybe a week ago, something like that, and it's sitting in the shop. We learned this lesson a long time ago, that you don't put grain in the shop unless you want to also have mice in the shop. So because we don't have the big tractor here, I can't put this bag on that big old pallet and offload it into the grain shed. It's just not gonna work. I can't get enough lift on the old Massey. I don't have bale forks on the Massey. We're just not set up to do it. So, but I can hook onto the bag, drag it outside, and then probably about a half an hour of scooping into a 5-gallon bucket and out and into the grain shed. I'll have this bag empty, and there'll be no more grain inside the shop. Don't want to have mice pooping in here. Well, I gotta say, today would not have been possible if it weren't for an awful lot of painkillers. I started the day really stiff and sore, tweaked my neck. Well, folks, with 25 minutes, a 5-gallon pail, and a little bit of ambition, we got 1,300 pounds of grain unloaded into the grain shed and away from any mice at all, if anything, today. So I'm gonna end it here. I'm gonna go in. The wife's mixing up some cheese and crackers for me. And maybe if I'm lucky, she'll fix me up a cup of tea. So I'll let you go for now. I hope you have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.